Muy buenas noches y bienvenidos nuevamente a nuestra serie internacional de Tiempo de Mercadeo. En esta oportunidad nos hemos desplazado hasta Lake Placid, en Nueva York, uno de los escenarios naturales de reserva más grande del mundo, donde se celebraron los Juegos Olímpicos hace ya bastantes años, los Juegos Olímpicos del invierno. Vinimos porque la verdad es que Medellín cuenta con uno de los centros de exposiciones y de convenciones más espectaculares de América Latina, como es Plaza Mayor. Y Susan Friedman es especialista en el manejo de ferias, exposiciones y eventos en lo que tiene que ver con el marketing. Por eso nos hemos desplazado hasta acá, para que ella nos cuente cómo poder aprovechar mejor Plaza Mayor, cómo hacer de todo ese complejo de convenciones y de palacio de exposiciones que tenemos en nuestra ciudad, para que se convierta en un punto de referencia no solamente de América Latina, sino del mundo, y obviamente partiendo de Colombia. Eso lo vamos a hacer entonces dentro de unos segundos, a hablar con Susan Friedman, quien ha escrito cualquier cantidad de libros sobre la materia, para que ella nos cuente más. Ya volvemos. Good evening and welcome to my program. It's an honor to have you here.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much,
My pleasure,
Carlos.
Susan. Well, let me begin by asking you, what's in a trade show? Why is a trade show becoming so important in marketing nowadays?
So actually, trade shows have been around since biblical times.
Absolutely.
So
but
it's
they
not
hasn't-
something new. It's an opportunity to bring buyer and seller together, and where people can show off what they have, their products, their services.
Yeah, you said that they have been around since the human is, in the world. But why are they so important now?
So they're important because it's an opportunity for producers to sell their products and services. It's a large environment where industry people come together. So we talked about the fact that they're around since biblical times. They started off actually in Persia, where the Persian kingdom wanted to show off their wares to other countries. Well, now we've taken it and it's industries. So it might be the automobile industry, it might be healthcare industry, it might be education, it might be any different kind of industry that has a trade show or exhibition.
Okay, Susan, and how should it be organized? I mean, what should be in a trade show?
So what should be in a trade show should be obviously what you are showing that's new. People who go to trade shows, who are visiting, want to see new products and services. Over 70% of people going to shows are there to see something new. So that's really important for any exhibitor.
You said 70%?
Over 70% of
And
people
the others are what? Curious?
They may be curious, they come to shows for different reasons. They may come because they're selling something and they want to sell it to you, some people. Some people are looking for jobs. Some people are just curious about what's going on in the industry, because at an industry trade show or exhibition, this is where the industry is on display. So everything about that industry is going to be represented in some way at that trade show or exhibition.
And over 70% are interested in what they are showing.
They want to see what's new. So if I go to a show year after year, I don't want to see the same things.
So that means that whoever is taking part of the show has to change from year to year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not everything, of course, but
No, but they have to show me something different. Because otherwise, in a huge trade show, I mean, the exhibitions that, for instance, are going to come to the Medellin Convention Center, there are going to be hundreds of exhibitors there. And you don't have time to see people maybe who you know, or I've seen that product before, I'm not interested in that. But something new. I want to see what's new in the industry, because that's what I'm interested in.
we're going to talk about conventions next week, probably next week, but let's keep talking about exhibition shows, trade shows. How do you think the booth should be?
The booth represents your whole company. So it's got to make sure, you've got to make sure that it does represent you well. What you're showing, how you're showing it, the people who are in the booth too. So
Doesn't have to be a beautiful, I mean, a beauty queen.
it doesn't have to be.
It
doesn't
shouldn't be.
have to be. You know what? The whole purpose of a booth is so that you can complete your marketing objectives, which is to bring somebody in who might be interested in your products and services. So that's the whole idea. Yes, the beautification is lovely, it attracts people, but so many exhibitors spend so much time and energy and money into beautifying the booth and forget the most important thing is the people.
Yeah, and
because
what they
I
get-
am going to sell to you, you're going to sell to me. That's the most important part, is your
Yeah.
people, because they're your ambassadors.
Right, and when they have a beauty queen over there, everybody remembers the beauty queen, but not what it was in the show.
Exactly, and research shows that people remember that beauty queen, or I call them a booth babe. They remember that, but they don't remember the product. You know, she may be gorgeous, she blonde hair, beautiful figure, great breasts. I mean, the fact is you remember all that, but you don't remember the product that she was representing. So to me, that is pointless, because that's not the reason. You're not there. What are you selling? You're not selling sex. Well, if you are, then that has a purpose. But if you're not, then the whole idea is let's show off what is important for me to see about your product and service. And it might be the physical product. It might be you want me to see some kind of demonstration. So if you've got a very large product and you can't bring it to the show, then perhaps you have a video. Now it's so easy to have things filmed that we can have anything on the trade show floor.
Susan, well, if we're talking about tangible goods or goods that are produced on tangible matter, but if we talk about services like a hospital or any type of intangibles, how could that be then? With films, with videotapes, or how can you show experience and things like that when you have a trade show about services?
Yes, and that's
Why don't we do this? Let's go to a commercial break and then you'll answer that question, okay? All right. Vamos a ir entonces a unos comerciales y ya estamos de nuevo con ustedes. Ya volvemos. Okay, Susan, about services, intangible.
Intangibles are always a tough thing to sell on a trade show floor. However, it's a conversation. It's a conversation that I'm going to have with you. Yes, you have to show, you might have a video about the kinds of results that your services produce, for instance. You might have some pictures. I mean, pictures paint 1,000 words. So pictures are much more important than lots of copy, for instance, in a booth. That's really important. But it's the conversation that you have with your prospect. Of course, getting them into the booth in the first place, which is part of your pre-show planning. We haven't talked about pre-show planning.
No, we have to talk about do's and don'ts.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, so you've got 3 phases of exhibiting. You've got your before the show, you've got at the show, and then you've got after the show, which is very important. You see? And so many exhibitors focus on just what happens at the show. Well, actually, the most important part of exhibiting is
After.
the planning.
Uh-huh.
The planning
Previews,
before the show.
Before the show.
Absolutely. What are you looking to get out of the show? What is it that you want? Are you collecting leads? Are you there to demonstrate? How many demonstrations or how many leads do you want to collect? You have to have something quantifiable, something measurable, so that at the end of the show, you can measure how successful you've been.
Then why don't we get into what you should and you shouldn't do? Let's start and then before. What should be done before going to the show?
So what you should be doing before the show is absolutely defining what it is that you want to get out of the show.
It's
Why
not a
are you
matter
there?
It's not a matter of just being there.
No, not at all. You know, I mean, why are you there? Why are you there? In fact, one of the biggest mistakes is the salespeople on the show floor don't know why they're there. You know, they sometimes don't even know the products or the services that they're exhibiting. So this is all bad communication within, the company. So deciding what it is that you want to exhibit, why you're exhibiting, what you're exhibiting, deciding, as we said, are you looking to sell a certain number of products? Are you looking to increase your income? Obviously, everything's bottom line, so you are looking to increase your income. But you may have to do that through leads because the sales cycle could be long. I've got clients who sell airplanes. It's a 5-year sales cycle.
Yeah, they don't sell it right away.
No,
they don't sell it in there.
They're not going to sell an airplane.
Right.
However, there are people who are selling straight away from the show floor. Some shows are buying shows. I've got a very good friend of mine who buys jewelry. And so she goes to a jewelry show, let's say in New York at the Javits Center, and she goes there specifically looking for jewelry. And then, of course, there's clothing and all these other there's thousands and thousands of shows around the world.
Just to make a comment, I just read that everyone in the world goes at least to three shows per year.
You've taught me something.
I'm glad I did.
You know what? I get my best material from people like yourself.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I just read it. And it doesn't surprise me because, everybody goes to a show once in a while.
Yeah. Even if it's just to look around.
Just to look around.
Maybe it's a spouse going with their husband or wife. Accompanying them. You get that at medical shows, for instance. Maybe a doctor might bring his wife and maybe even the children to
or maybe
a
his
show.
patients.
Maybe a patient he might come, yes.
What about giveaways and papers and brochures? What about them?
I love that question.
Why? Because of what you get?
Yeah. Because people feel that they have to give something away, first of all. But the thing is, what is it that you're going to give away? And often the wrong thing is given away. Something that is useless, pens, pencils, stress balls, something silly that maybe, you'll give to the children. The whole idea of a giveaway is that it's a thank you token. You come to my booth. I spend time with you, and I want to give you a thank you gift. I want to give you something as a token of appreciation that you remember me after the show, after you've gone. So my belief, and I prefer that you give away something that relates to your business. I love educational material.
Not only brochures?
Brochures are great. Trouble is that you have trade shows, and we're going all over the place here, but trade shows are the most overt espionage environment out there. Where else can competitors go around, walk into your booth, see what you've got, talk to your people about your products and services? And so there's a lot of, and different industries, different espionage, different spies out there on the show floor, but there's always somebody who's looking at stuff. So I don't recommend giving away brochures. I would send it to the prospect after the show. It gives you a reason to make contact with that person after the show. Plus, let me give you another statistic. Over 66% of brochures picked up at trade shows end up in the
trash
garbage.
cans, right?
In the trash can, exactly. So if I'm going to give it to you, I don't want that to happen. And often that happens because people just take, and they take because somebody gives it to them. Instead of, they're very polite, they don't want to refuse it, so they take the brochure. They put it in their bag. They get to the hotel room,
And
they've got, 30 pounds of paper they don't want to take on the aeroplane with them, so they go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which one shall I take? Oh, I'll take this one. Oh, I'll throw those away.
Susan, we're going to go to another commercial break and be right back.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Vamos a ir a otra tanda de comerciales y ya estamos con ustedes. Ya regresamos. Susan, let's continue with what should and shouldn't be done. Liquor. Is that advisable to give liquor away?
There are different traditions. So in the States, for instance, you don't give away liquor, or very, very seldom. However, in Europe, I know that you go to an exhibit and you expect sometimes.
A little wine?
Yes, a little wine, maybe some whiskey or something. Just it's part of the hospitality. Yeah. So I don't know what the tradition is in
Which one do you like
Colombia.
better? It's just about the same as in Europe.
Yes.
Which one do you like better?
Again, if this is the way that you show hospitality, it's important that you show hospitality in this way. If it's expected, then of course you have to do it. But then always, it's nice to be different. Because if everybody's
Yes.
doing the same, it looks vanilla. And you want to be different. You
And some
want to be
people go-
multicolored.
Right, and some people go there just to have drinks, free drinks.
Yeah. And that what purpose does that serve?
Absolutely. Now, the size of the booth, is there a recommendation about a size of a booth, or it depends on what you have to show, or anything like it?
The size of the booth often depends on your budget. I mean, we haven't talked
Good.
about your budget, but hopefully, companies have got a budget beforehand so that they know what they can afford. So a small company, for instance, would have what's known as a 10 by 10 here in the States.
Yes.
So it's 10 by 10 foot.
That's I would say that's a regular
It's about the
size.
same. Now, you also expect that the international, the multinational companies are going to have a big booth. So if you go to an electronics show, you want IBM, you want Samsung, you want some of the big names out there, Toshiba, you're going to expect them to have a big booth. So there's an expectation, if you're a leader in the industry, that you're going to show off and show that you're a leader at a show.
If I recall correct, the first time I met you, I don't remember where it was, you said that there are places that you don't recommend for in a show, like that, near the bathroom or some corners or things like that. What are
Exactly.
those places?
You've got such a good memory. You were in one of my training programs. I remember.
Well, that's because you are so good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So the recommendations are, I think, staying away from the restrooms, the toilets, staying away from concession stands, anywhere that's selling food or drink, because even though there are a lot of people there, they're there for a different reason. It's not to see you. However, let me tell you a story about one exhibitor who wanted to take advantage of that kind of traffic.
That's what I want to say. Sometimes you have to be there because there is no other place.
He took advantage of it, and he wanted that space because he was selling garage door openers. So his exhibit consisted of a garage door going up and going down, going up and going down. So he positioned himself by the restroom, and then when people came out of the restroom, what did they see? His garage door going up and going down. So it was a very clever tactic. But if you don't have something like that, stay away from those areas.
Yeah, but when you have to get it,
Then you make the best of it. There are better positions, and then there are not so good positions, and yeah.
what about meetings in the booth? Is that advisable, having a meeting over there?
It's a wonderful opportunity to have meetings with your clients, with prospects. if at all possible, it's nice to have a separate meeting room.
That's what we have in Medellin. I mean,
Yeah.
the exhibitors could go to small rooms or large rooms just to have meetings and conferences and things like that.
That's advisable because, as I said to you, this is a very espionage environment. You've got so many people who, could hear, could see. You don't want people to overhear your conversations. This is a very public environment, and so you just don't know who's watching you.
There is something that I think is very important, but we don't have time to consider that today, so we'll leave it for next week, okay? Because we're running out of time. Creo que por la noche de hoy es suficiente porque se nos acabó el tiempo, entonces tenemos que dejar para la próxima semana mucho más de lo que tenemos para hablar con Susan Friedman. Los invitamos entonces a que estén pendientes de nuestro programa dentro de una semana para continuar con esta temática que para Plaza Mayor, para nuestro centro de exhibiciones y de convenciones o palacio de exposiciones es muy importante por lo que Medellín quiere y por lo que todos queremos que nos ocurra con ello. Entonces, nos vemos dentro de una semana. Muchas gracias y una feliz noche.
Producers to sell their products and services. It's a large environment where industry people come together. So we talked about the fact that they're around since biblical times. They started off actually in Persia, where the Persian kingdom wanted to show off their wares to other countries. Well, now we've taken it, and it's in biblical times.
Absolutely.
So it's not something new. It's an opportunity to bring buyer and seller together, and where people can show off what they have, their products, their services.
Yeah, you said that they have been around since the human is, in the world. But why are they so important now?
So they're important because it's an opportunity for...
Muy buenas noches y bienvenidos nuevamente a nuestra serie internacional de tiempo de mercadeo. En esta oportunidad nos hemos desplazado hasta Lake Placid, en Nueva York, uno de los escenarios naturales de reserva más grande del mundo, donde se celebraron los Juegos Olímpicos hace ya bastantes años, los Juegos Olímpicos del Invierno. Vinimos porque la verdad es que Medellín cuenta con uno de los centros de exposiciones y de convenciones más espectaculares de América de Colombia. Eso lo vamos a hacer entonces dentro de unos segundos, a hablar con Susan Friedman, quien ha escrito cualquier cantidad de libros sobre la materia para que ella nos cuente más. Ya volvemos. Good evening and welcome to my program. It's an honor to have you here.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure,
Carlos.
Susan. Well, let me begin by asking you, what's in a trade show? Why is a trade show becoming so important in marketing nowadays?
So actually, trade shows have been around since...
América Latina, como es Plaza Mayor. Y Susan Friedman es especialista en el manejo de ferias, exposiciones y eventos en lo que tiene que ver con el marketing. Por eso nos hemos desplazado hasta acá, para que ella nos cuente cómo poder aprovechar mejor Plaza Mayor, cómo hacer de todo ese complejo de convenciones y de palacio de exposiciones que tenemos en nuestra ciudad, para que se convierta en un punto de referencia no solamente de América Latina, sino del mundo, y obviamente partiendo